Hello, my name is Austin Shadle, and welcome back to the Life Endurance Podcast, where we explore methods of unlocking your true potential in the greatest endurance race we all partake in, life. Procrastination. Not taking action. By doing nothing, you will guarantee the outcome you want to avoid. Ironic, isn't it? We desperately want to avoid something, but we don't take action. And by doing so, we ensure the bad outcome occurs. Why do we do this? In a previous episode, we discussed laziness and how laziness is focused on the cost and not the reward. This also applies to procrastination. We overthink the path to the finish to a point that we don't even start. I am as guilty as anyone in this. And if you haven't listened to the last episode, I urge you to do so. But there's a couple other key sources of procrastination I want to talk about today. The first is fear. Most commonly, the fear of failure. We tend to overthink the potential of failure. Another common topic in the self-help world, and one I will continue to bring up. Sometimes, as I batch write episodes, I worry about beating a dead horse at times, but there are some things I don't think we can revisit too much, and failure is one of those. We fear failure even though failure is part of the process. But failure can be painful, so our desire to avoid it is a protection mechanism. A natural mechanism that means well, but is one that we must learn to override in order to improve. So the first life endurance takeaway is for you to consider something you are procrastinating on. So take a moment and think about what outcome you're trying to avoid, and what will taking action ensure won't happen. Now look inward and see if fear is the source of your inaction. What are you afraid of? Dig into these fears and ask yourself, are they rational and are they worse than the outcome of taking no action? You'll likely find the irrationality of the fear that's causing your procrastination. Now, the other source of procrastination that has skyrocketed in modern day specifically is the myth of multitasking. Again, another topic I've hit on, so I won't go into detail about how there is no such thing as multitasking, just rapid task switching, which is wildly bad for productivity. But this idea of multitasking being a source of procrastination really explained a lot when I heard it. When we multitask or have the option to, we procrastinate completion of the task we're switching from. And it's also a way to cope with the fear we mentioned before. It gives us an excuse to avoid the thing that we're scared of. It gives us options to procrastinate. And we justify them because we switch to another task that, yes, needs to happen, but might not need to happen as much as the one we're working on. Modern day technology makes this extremely difficult to avoid, and I'm guilty of this. I have 4 screens on my desk. I can have emails on one screen, messages on another, documents on the other, and a web browser on the 4th. At times, there's an advantage to having multiple screens, when you need to have 2 documents open to compare at once. Or you need to have info from your browser or email to include on a document you're working on. But it also makes it too easy to let yourself leave a task for another. When a new email comes in, or you remember a browser tab that you've been meaning to revisit, it becomes too easy to indulge in the impulse to go after the new exciting thought and continue to avoid the task you should be focusing on. So the second life endurance takeaway for today is this. When you find yourself procrastinating, observe how many options you have in front of you. How much access to distractions do you have? You may have to find ways to remove those options, and with that, combating your procrastination. I hope today's episode added some value to your own pursuits. Please subscribe and take a brief moment to share if you think this could help others. To learn more about my background, follow me on Instagram at endurancebeast. To support yourself as well as the podcast, check out my affiliate links below. Thank you for listening, and as always, I look forward to sharing the next episode.